you had a complex relationship with your father, and actually we share a couple things, which is that I was born in Texas,
Wait,
and I was in Crockett, a little town called Crockett, Texas.
I know Crockett.
Yeah, and I think we both, if I'm not mistaken, made records about loss. I lost my brother in 1993, and recently put out my first solo record. River was the name of
Mhm.
it, and I know that you did as well. And I guess I just, the process for me, I didn't even realize sort of what I was getting into till I was in it. But I guess the thing I connect with it is that actually my dad had just passed before I made the record. And I was able to be with him closely before his passing and to care for him when I hadn't seen him for a very long time prior to that.
Mm.
And that was really transformative. And I truly think that it was the thing that unlocked my ability to write about the grief and loss of my brother. I lost him when I was 19, and I think I'd locked up a lot of that for being a kid, and not understanding how to process very well. And so my dad's passing was so archetypal, that kind of pain, that I wasn't even aware until it happened, losing a parent. And I know that you wrote a record, I think a whole record, but certainly some songs during the time that you lost your dad. I don't know. It was striking to me how making a record about loss and grief wasn't something I'd heard a lot about, right? That it's not a prevalent thing. So when I heard that about you, I just thought like, wow, I know what that process was like for me, or certainly that kind of affirming something happened, traumatic happened, and I had to just talk about it, right? And it was very cathartic, the experience. Did that help you, I guess is the question, to be able
Yeah,
to write about it?
yes. Yes, but before I fully answer that question as well as I can, I worked with your brother uh, in 1992
Wow.
on a film called Love. He came to Nashville, and I worked with him on, just we just played songs and talked about songs, and my my job was just to kind of coach him toward performing the songs. And
Wow.
and 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 I realized pretty quickly. I said, this he doesn't need to be coached because he has a sensibility that's all his own, and it was very powerful. At the time, I don't know, what was he, 22, 23? I'm not sure what age it was, but I'm sorry for your loss, and I
Thank
got to
you.
spend a little time with him, and he was a real beautiful young man. So just
Yeah.
wanted
Oh, I'm
just
so
wanted to tell
glad
you
you
that.
shared. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yes.
Wow. I know that
Yeah.
he had such an amazing time on that film. He got to work with so many legends in music. And I remember him being really excited about it. Music was always his first passion, and kind of fell into acting. But he and I been singing and playing music since I was 3 and he was 5. We were like a unit. I would sing and he'd write, and then he had a great voice, and so we had a band, and so that was, like I said, all of that. It was really hard for me to restart after all of that as somebody on my own, because it was always the two of us, and he was the engine. Um, so I
Yeah.
just appreciate so much that you shared that and that you got to meet him. He really was a unique soul, and so
He played
I'm
me
so
some songs.
glad you said that.
Played me
Yeah.
some songs he'd written, and they had an edge on them, man. They were. I said, okay, right. I mean, it was committed. So I mean, the songs were whispering to him too. He was bringing it in a way that I was like, whoa, I'm gonna step back, man, because you're coming with a lot of energy with this, and I love it.
Mm.
As far as grief and songs, it was writing that book. China Berry Sidewalks was a long process of catharsis, and it also, in the 5 years that I mentioned earlier, was I spent a lot of time in a room with a really fine therapist, and and there was a lot that needed to be healed, and I had the blessing of my father died in my arms, and my mother died with me rubbing her feet, and it was such a great blessing in my life, both situations. And I couldn't do anything but write about. One song, "I Know Love Is All I Need," that I wrote. I was making the Houston Kid, the album, which had a lot to do with the dysfunction of my family. And this is the creative process. It can be misinterpreted, but I was close to being finished with the album, and then one night I had this vivid dream. Both of my parents were gone, but they came to me in this dream, and they were so present and articulate, and they sat me down and they said, "Hey, we like this record you're making, but you're not telling the whole story." And I kind of wisecracked. I said, "Oh yeah, well, enlighten me then. What am I missing here?" And then they shot me with these lightning bolts and cartoon stuff, and I stepped back and I woke up, and I wrote down this song called "I Know Love." I have kept a guitar by the bed, and I started playing it, and I recorded it, and I went back to sleep. I've heard about this happening. This is the only time it ever happened to me. So the next day, or the days following, I said, "Well, I had this dream. It's like if my parents come from the other side to visit me to help me finish up this album. Maybe that's I can go there." But I really think that what happened was the archetypal. You mentioned archetype, that I knew in my subconscious that the album wasn't complete, and it needed redemption in order for me to tell this story of dysfunction.
Well, I've been sleeping in my car, been moving fast, but it seems I ain't gone far, and I can't believe all what I am and what I used to be. I'm barely a man and living hard. Well, my father killed himself, but my mother hit the bar. Well, ain't it funny? Ain't it funny how the world has set you free? I spend my whole life wondering why I'm down. I don't feel easy if the blues don't come around, in my face don't look right without a frown. Well, if you can't swim, you better learn to drown. Well, I've been stealing all my meals, I've been getting by. Every time the well runs dry, I tell myself, if it don't kill me, then I guess I'll never die. Well, I've been acting like a mule, 'cause I'd rather hear you laugh than to be here with my mind and all my thoughts. Well, I guess I'll always be the laughing fool. I spend my whole life wondering why I'm down. I don't feel easy if the blues don't come around, in my face don't look right without a frown. Well, if you can't swim, you better learn to drown. I thought about closing the door and ending it all like my father did before, but it ain't worth all the people who won't see me anymore. Well, there ain't much that lasts too long. All the rights that I took wrong, all the lefts that still ain't gone, will be here in my sad bastard song. I spend my whole life wondering why I'm down. I don't feel easy if the blues don't come around, in my face don't look right without a frown. Well, if you can't swim, you better learn to drown.
Hey, if you like that video, you can see the whole thing at our Patreon page. That's right, just hit the link that you're seeing on the screen right now, and it'll take you there. And you can become a patron today and help us keep launching new artists and bringing left-to-center art and activism to a wider audience. And can't wait to see you soon.